Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who's Who in Residence Life and Dining Services, or RLDS. RLDS is our department, and this presentation is going to teach you who works in our department and what they do. And as a side note, this is my new favorite PowerPoint template. It is a family photo album, and I just think that it's the cutest thing ever. So if you have a family photo project, check this out and enjoy all the leaves and cuteness to come. So in this presentation, we want to talk about RLDS, but first I wanted to go over the hierarchy of UW and where Residence Life and Dining fits within the greater organization that is the University of Wyoming. So basically how the university is structured is, of course, you have your entire university, and then within UW, you have a variety of different divisions. Ours is the Division of Student Affairs. And then within each division, you have a variety of departments. Ours is Residence Life and Dining. And then within each department, you have various units. And our unit is Residence Education. So what that looks like for us is at the top, of course, you have our president, Dr. Lori Nichols. And then you have our vice president for Student Affairs, Sean Blackburn. And then you have our executive director of Residence Life and Dining, Eric Webb. And then our unit, Residence Education, we're led by Ryan Rabideau, and he's an associate director. So that's kind of how we get our power from Lori Nichols all the way down to us here in Residence Education. In terms of Residence Life and Dining, we have 6 different units within our department. So in this slide, I'm going to go over what those 6 units are and who the leaders are in each of those units. So of course, there's us, Residence Education. As you know, that's Ryan Rabideau who leads us. We also have Business Operations. That is led by Jamie Miller, and she's the Director of Student Affairs Business Operations. So in addition to leading the Business Operations unit for Residence Life and Dining, she also does that for the entire Division of Student Affairs. For facilities, we have Kim Zaft. She's an associate director. And as a side note for Kim actually has her oldest son, Eric, moving into Downey Hall as a freshman this fall. So if you're in Downey, go easy on Eric. Just kidding, actually. If he does violate policies, write an incident report just like any other student. For dining services, that is led by the director of dining, Reggie Connerly. You'll have a chance to meet him during training. For UW Catering and Events, we have Derek Jones. He's the director. And then Wyoming Conservation Corps, or WCC, is our 6th unit, and that is led by Patrick Harrington, who is a project coordinator. So between these 6 units, that is all of RLDS. And that's us, in case you didn't already know when I said that 3 other times. So next, I'm going to go through all of the different units and point out what those units do and certain people within those units that you might interact with as an RA. So we'll start with business operations. So business operations does a lot of different things. So we have the contracts office within business and the business office. So the contracts office, going to the right of the screen, is led by Carl. He's our contracts manager. So he's in charge of all residence hall and apartment assignments, and he's pretty much our resident expert at StarRes, Schlage, and Blackboard. He supervises Jill, who's a contracts associate, and Jill is one of the frontline staff, so she manages the RLDS email. She's often the one who answers the phone, so if a student needs help changing their meal plan or with their contract or their lease, Jill is often going to be one of the first people that a student might be put into contact with. Also in the contracts office, we have a leasing associate. That position is currently vacant, but we're hiring very soon. So if you are an apartment RA, you will get to meet whoever that person is very shortly, and you'll work with them quite a bit. So in addition to the contracts office, which you'll definitely see those folks around, we also have the business office, and those are essentially an office full of accountants. And so those are the folks who are doing payroll for the hundreds of employees who work for RLDS, and also doing all of our purchasing, accounting, and reporting. So they're the ones who are monitoring all of our P cards, all of the expenses that we do, budgets. It's a lot of work with our big organization, but business operations does a great job with that. In terms of facilities, you'll work very heavily with your folks in facilities. Essentially in facilities, we have custodial team, we have the maintenance team, and we have the PEAK team. And now PEAK is an acronym that stands for Pests, Equipment, Access, and Keys. So the people that you'll likely get to know, we have Todd, who is the supervisor of all of our maintenance staff, and his office is actually out in the apartments community center. So if you're an apartments RA, you'll get to see Todd just about every time you have a desk shift. And then also the PEAK team, as I mentioned, they handle all swipe lock issues, pests, so bed bugs, things like that, any hard keys, and then equipment such as vacuums. So that is Keith and Mike. So if you ever submit a work order, let's say to get a swipe lock replaced, or maybe it's dead, Keith and Mike are probably going to be the ones who respond to that. On the custodial side of things, we have Chris Saunders, who is the ultimate manager of the entire custodial team. And because we do have a lot of custodians, Chris is supported by Nikki and January, who are custodial supervisors. So between Nikki and January, they supervise all of the custodians, and Nikki and January are divided into sides of campus. So depending on where you are an RA, you'll either see Nikki or January quite a bit. In terms of dining services, it should be pretty obvious what they do. They prepare food for thousands of folks on campus every single day. Essentially, dining services is split into two main arms. So you have the Washakie Dining Center, of course, and then you also have retail dining, which is all the other places on campus where you can get a bite to eat. So the Union Food Court, coffee shops, Rendezvous, CJ's, stuff like that. The people who you will get to meet, you'll get to interact, especially if you are a hall RA, with our Washakie team. Washakie is led by Becky Ford, and she's supported by Tom Wilson, who's the manager of Washakie. Matthew Branson is the chef for Washakie, and he also does a lot of special events, so you'll see him up there doing specialty cooking shows and things like that. And then the assistant manager is Cindy Bernaski. So the four of those folks all together help supervise all of the people who work for Washakie, and you'll see them just about at every meal up there. We also have Amy Bai. She's an assistant director in dining services. She does a lot of different things within dining, but the thing that she does that you and your residents will interact with her is that she is our registered dietitian. So if you have a resident on your floor who has specialty dietary needs, they might be put in contact with Amy to talk about how they can make Washakie work for their needs. Next, I want to talk just a little bit about the other two units in RLDS, catering and WCC. So catering is just like what it sounds. It's a catering operation on campus. We actually are going to eat 2 different catered meals during training from catering, and they do a great job, so we're excited for that. And then we also have WCC, or the Wyoming Conservation Corps, that falls within RLDS. Now it's a little unique because it's not residence life or dining, but WCC is a grant-funded project that falls within RLDS because we provide some administrative support to them, and the business office in particular handles all of their accounting and their budget and purchasing and things like that. And WCC is really cool. They go all around the state and they help protect our public lands. And they have 2 full-time staff who work all year round, and then they really staff up with volunteers and seasonal workers over the summer as they go all around the state and do their different projects. And last but not least, wanted to talk a little bit about our unit, which is Residence Education, or Res Ed. So in Res Ed, we have the leadership team I'll talk about in the next slide. We have our RCs, our Graduate Residence Coordinator, or GRC. We have you all, our RAs. We have DAs, or Desk Assistants. And we also have RHA, the Residential Housing Association. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on who the RCs and GRC are. You can see it up on the screen now. You'll get to interact with all of our RCs and GRC very, very heavily during training. So more to come on those folks. Residence Education is led by the leadership team, which is Diana, Ryan, and myself, Corey. So the three of us meet to set the unit priorities and directions for the residence education unit. And isn't this just the cutest family photo? Diana was a little embarrassed, but I think it is very cute. Next, I want to talk about what everyone within residence education actually does. Because as an RA, you're not really going to see our job descriptions. You're not going to follow us around, or at least hopefully you're not. So just wanted to let you know, what are these people's jobs? So we'll start with Ryan. So he is our unit leader. He supervises Diana and myself. And as a trio, the three of us work to set the goals and vision for residence education. Because Ryan is our unit leader, he advises on all major decisions pertaining to residence education. So any major decision, any major incident or situation, Ryan is consulted to make sure that we are making the best decision possible. Ryan, Diana, and myself are part of the AOC rotation, which is Administrator on Call, and that's the level that is above LOC, or live-in on call. So we get called when more significant things happen within our communities. Ryan essentially is the big picture person within residence education. So not only does he lead our unit, but he's also on the leadership team for the department of RLDS and for the Division of Student Affairs. So Ryan's job is to think about how the division, our department, and our unit can improve and what we can do to make sure that we continue to grow and develop to better support the students who live with us. Ryan sits on a lot of different committees across campus, usually ones that have more higher level folks that set directions for the university. And he also works with a lot of different partners around the university to make sure that we have good relationships with folks. So next I'm going to talk about me and then Diana after that. So if you want to think about Ryan as the big picture leader within Res Ed, Diana and myself as the assistant directors are more the day-to-day leaders within residence education. So as part of that, I supervise 3 residence coordinators, so Taryn, Shannon, and Melissa. And what that entails of supervising an RC is providing guidance, support, and training, consulting with RCs on any and all day-to-day issues. So I'm fielding phone calls from my 3 RCs pretty much all day as we consult and make sure that we're doing what we need to do to support our communities. And Diana and myself also manage and assign all of our conduct and care cases. So anytime you as an RA write an incident report for a policy violation, a facilities concern, or a student of concern, Diana and I are reviewing those for our area and making sure that we are coordinating the best follow-up that fits that situation. As I said in Ryan's slide, Diana, myself, and Ryan all work together to lead the residence education unit. We serve on the AOC rotation. And then some of my specific responsibilities are I coordinate selection and training for all of our different staff levels within residence education. I also sit on a lot of different committees and work with campus partners in a variety of different capacities. So some of the partners across campus that I work with very frequently, I work with Dean of Students quite a bit in Title IX, and also our colleagues in academic affairs. Diana's job description, very similar to mine. She's our other assistant director. She supervises 2 RCs, so Griffin and Sarah, and she also supervises Severio, our graduate residence coordinator. Just like Ryan and me, the 3 of us work together to serve as the leaders for residence education. Diana's also on the AOC rotation. And Diana's specific responsibilities is that she is in charge of all community development and leadership efforts within our department. So what that looks like is she sets our community development model, and she advises our RHA and the National Residence Halls Honorary, which is NRHH. Diana also sits on quite a few different committees across campus, and she also works with a variety of campus partners. Usually those campus partners are more in the community development realm, so she works very closely with the STEP Center and operating that STEP satellite that we have in the lower level of Washakie. She works a lot with ACES and the FIG program and a lot of different folks that we bring in for some of our events for residents. Next, we wanted to talk about what an RC does. So you get to see your RC just about every single day, but you might not know all of the different things that go into their job description. So you will definitely get to see that the RC supervises RAs, and that looks like providing guidance, support, and training to you all. They conduct actually bi-weekly, not weekly, one-on-one meetings with you all to make sure that you all are getting what you need from your supervisor. And they lead the staff, so they're doing trainings, they're leading staff meetings, and they get to set the tone for what the experience is like in that community. RCs also coordinate crisis response, which looks like handling the things in their community that might happen, and responding for all of campus when they are serving as LOC, or live-in on call. RCs are also the manager of their building, or in the apartments, manager of the apartment community. And what that looks like is working on both the facilities side and the contract side to make sure that everything is running smoothly. So for facilities, that's working with our custodial and maintenance team to make sure that everything is in order. And on the contract side, that is navigating things like room changes, check-ins, check-outs, and any contract releases that folks might have. RCs also are in charge of community development and leadership within their hall. So as part of that, they advise your community senate, and they work with the Senate, RHA, and you all as RAs to coordinate all of the community development that happens within your specific area. They also manage a conduct and care caseload, so that includes serving as a university hearing officer when students violate policy and following up when we are concerned about a student. And we also have RCs serving on various campus and department committees. So the RC position is very full. If you see your RC with their door shut meeting with other folks, or if you don't see them in their office, it's likely because they are in meetings with your fellow RAs for one-on-ones, meetings with residents who might have concerns, tracking down residents that are maybe difficult to get a hold of, and meeting with a variety of different partners to make sure that we are supporting our students in the best way possible. So lots of work, a very full position in the RC role. And last but not least, wanted to talk about what Severio, our graduate residence coordinator, does. So Severio, in general, is in charge of all of our community desks. So he supervises our DAs, he manages all of the scheduling for our desks, he's the one who sets those desk expectations that are in the manual, and he works with all of the SRAs to form a team that collaboratively makes sure that all of our desks are functioning the way that they need to. Severio also is in the LOC rotation, so you'll talk with him when you're on call. We also put him on some different campus and department committees. And in general, he's a member of our residence education pro staff team, so he's assisting with things like selection, training, community development efforts, and anything else that residence education might have going on. That is just about it for what we have for this presentation. I ended on this slide because I wanted to show you that this template, as I said, is very cute and it has just the cutest stock photos. So this could be your family if you chose to do that. I don't know why I keep pushing that you need to make a family project, but I think that your parents would probably be very touched if you did that. Yes, cute stock photos. Can't forget about that. Not least, what I would like you to do next is to make sure you take the quiz. I emailed you the link, but if you've forgotten that or if you don't want to pull it up, tinyurl.com/RLDS quiz. It's only 8 questions, and it's just to make sure that you viewed this and that you retain some of that information. So with that, that is it. We are very excited to welcome you for training here in just a couple of weeks. If you have any questions or need anything in advance of training, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or your residence coordinator, and we would be glad to assist you.